Did you know that engine additives can boost fuel economy by up to 20% and prolong engine life by 100,000 miles? But in this video, we're revealing 13 engine additives that actually work and 5 that don't. Watch until the end to discover the additive that literally kills. And not just your engine. Let's begin with the ones that work. At number 1 is the Techron Concentrate Plus. We begin with one of the most popular fuel additives. Techron Concentrate Plus is a fuel system cleaner made by Chevron. It is rumored to be one of the few additives recommended by GM and other manufacturers, including BMW. Techron Concentrate is also recommended by many mechanics. Scientifically, it checks out. Techron Concentrate utilizes high-strength polyethylamine (PEA), which has been proven to remove carbon deposits from engines. Techron decarbonizes fuel injectors, combustion chambers, and intake valves. Many drivers claim that Techron improves fuel efficiency, enhances engine performance, and reduces knocking. In some instances, fuel economy improved by 2 miles per gallon. Even though Techron is a proven fuel system cleaner, it has some limitations. For example, this additive works best on cars that have been using substandard gasoline. You also see more definitive results on older engines that have been abused. If you choose to use Techron, you must follow the instructions precisely. This is a common theme with the additives on this list, including the next one. Coming in at number 2, we have the ATS Chemical 505 CRF Fuel System Treatment. When a world-famous mechanic is willing to risk his reputation on a product, you know it must be something special. Scotty Kilmer is famously an unofficial ambassador for 2 additives, and this is the first one. Just like Techron, ATS 505 also contains PEA. It cleans the 4 different types of carbon that build up in the fuel injection system, valves, and combustion chambers. 505 CRF works on port-style injectors and direct-style injectors. However, unlike Techron, this cleaner works on both gasoline and diesel. As a result, it is also more expensive. But is it worth it? It depends on the shape of your car. Some drivers have seen their oil consumption drop by half. In general, you can expect an improvement in fuel economy of between 1 to 3 miles per gallon, or a 13% improvement. If you're spending $2,500 per year on gasoline, you'll save $325. However, you'll also experience improved throttle response, reduced valve and timing chain noise, and improved idling. This makes ATS perfect for high-mileage cars. Later in the video, you'll see another additive made for classic cars. But before then, it's time to look under the hood. Next, at number 3 is the Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. As a general rule of thumb, engine oil additives are largely ineffective. They clog passages, reduce friction, and often contain abrasives that wear your engine down faster. So, that $20 miracle in a jar can cause a $4,000 engine rebuild. However, there are some products that actually work, like Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. From the name, you can tell that this isn't your average oil stabilizer. This is a very thick Group 1 mineral oil with surprisingly little additives. Its job is to hold together old engines that have loose bearing clearances. The thick fluid fills these gaps to reduce noise, boost oil pressure, and reduce oil consumption. We need to emphasize that this is only for old engines. Lucas Oil Stabilizer has a viscosity of over 2,500 centistokes at 104 degrees Fahrenheit. By comparison, the average 5W30 synthetic oil is about 60 centistokes at that temperature. Put this in a new turbocharger and you can kiss that engine goodbye. In a non-turbo, it will slow down the reaction of your variable valve timing system and can cause oil foaming. So, keep this away from healthy engines and follow the instructions carefully. Number 4, Liqui-Moly MOS2 Anti-Friction Engine Treatment. Did you know that 1/3 of your fuel goes to battling friction in your engine? Not only that, but 62% of the power generated by your engine is lost to heat and friction. That is why billions of dollars are invested into making better engine oil. However, new oils aren't as effective in old engines. That is where Liqui Moly MOS2 comes in. It adds a pressure-resistant boundary layer on metal surfaces. This reduces friction by up to 50% in your valve train. MOS2 is a German product that has been used by German taxi fleet services for decades. It has also been used in aerospace and for industrial lubrication, where excessive friction can be deadly. Just like with the additives we've discussed so far, Liqui Moly is specifically designed for older engines. A brand new car with less than 5,000 miles needs some friction for the piston rings to seat properly. The immediate impact of using MOS2 anti-friction is easier and quieter starts, especially in cold weather. You can use this in all 4-stroke gasoline and diesel engines. MOS2 also works with turbo engines and particulate filters. However, if you're looking for something specifically made for diesel engines, this next one will do the trick. Coming in at number 5 is Hot Shot's Secret Everyday Diesel Treatment. Unlike most engine additives, Hot Shot's Secret Everyday Diesel Treatment solves a real problem. The process of removing sulfur to create ultra-low sulfur diesel strips the diesel of its lubricating properties. Unfortunately, this leads to increased engine wear. In standardized tests, ULSD has been proven to produce wear scars of 520 microns. Hot Shot's EDT reduces wear scars by up to 159 microns. This significantly prolongs the lifespan of fuel injectors and fuel pumps, which can cost over $5,000 to replace. Hot Shot's EDT also adds much-needed cetane. The most common cetane rating from pump diesel is between 40 to 45. However, most modern engines require 48 to 50. Hot Shot's EDT boosts cetane by up to 7 points. This leads to more complete combustion and easier starts. As a result, some users have seen their fuel economy improve by up to 7%. The third major benefit of using EDT is that it makes engines quieter, and you can use it on new engines too. But if your car is really old, you might want to treat it with the next product first. Next, at number 6, Seafoam Motor Treatment. Seafoam Motor Treatment is a fuel and oil stabilizer and an engine cleaner, besides a few other things, of course. This means that, unlike other additives, you can add this to oil or fuel and gas or diesel engines. The question is, how is this possible? Seafoam has had over 80 years to perfect its miracle additive, and the data support it. Over the years, tens of thousands of users have experienced lower oil consumption, improved engine performance, and increased fuel economy. However, being a jack of all trades makes it the master of none. Even though it is a good fuel system cleaner, it's not as good as Techron or ATS. The main reason is that it doesn't contain PEA. As such, Seafoam is best suited for old engines that have been reasonably well maintained. Still, it is convenient to have just one product to handle different things. If you want an oil treatment that works like magic on old cars, wait for number 9. Number 7, Marvel Mystery Oil. At over 100 years old, this is one of the most tried and tested engine additives on the planet. Marvel Mystery Oil earned its name by acting as a fuel system cleaner, oil stabilizer, and cleaner. This beauty removes carbon deposits on the fuel pump, valves, and fuel injectors in diesel and gasoline engines. Marvel Mystery Oil also fights sludge buildup in the crankcase. It also reduces varnish and gum buildup, as well as wear and tear. Many users have seen instant, measurable results besides basic improvements, like a quieter, idle, and smoother starts. Condemned EGR valves have been brought to life after just one treatment, saving the owner hundreds of dollars in repairs. Still, Marvel Mystery Oil is ideal for classic cars or those with high mileage. However, the next additive has no such limitation. Number 8, Hot Shot's Secret Diesel Winter Anti-Gel. If you've ever owned a diesel car, then you know what a nightmare they are to run during winter. They are difficult to start, and if you don't use the right additives, your fuel lines can freeze in minutes. That's why we're back with another banger from Hot Shots. Their secret Diesel Winter Anti-Gel does exactly what it says on the pack, but much better than its competitors. The anti-gel lowers the cold filter plugging point while also boosting cetane, power, and fuel economy. Untreated diesel with paraffin begins to gel at 10 degrees Fahrenheit. However, the Hot Shots anti-gel brings this down to as low as minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Without a product like this, your car won't be able to start, and you could face a repair bill of up to $2,000. To get the most of this additive, you need to treat your engine before winter, and this only works at temperatures below 10 degrees. If you have a gasoline engine, Heat Gas Line Antifreeze is the product to get. But do you know what you shouldn't use? That's coming up later. At number 9, BGMOA Motor Oil Additive. One of the most expensive oil-related repairs is fixing stuck piston rings. Depending on your car and where you live, you could spend between $2,000 to $3,500. But do you know the worst part? It is completely avoidable. BG Motor Oil Additive was engineered to solve this problem. This engine oil supplement removes carbon buildup on piston rings, stabilizes oil viscosity, and prevents sludge and varnish buildup. Independent lab tests prove that BG Motor Oil boosts the total base number of conventional oil by up to 40%. TBN is a measure of alkalinity versus acidity in engine oil. When oil becomes more acidic, it starts to destroy engine parts. Oil from good suppliers have enough additives to prevent this from happening. However, if you've been using cheap oil, you definitely need to treat your engine with this. The one caveat about BGMOA is that you might not notice results immediately. Instead, this will protect your engine over the long run. This product also works best with older cars, just like the next additive on our list. Number 10, Lucas TB Zinc Plus. Ever wondered why classic cars are expensive? That's because they are extremely high maintenance. For starters, cars with flat tappet camshafts need oils with higher levels of ZDDP. Unfortunately, modern oils don't contain a lot of ZDDP because it destroys catalytic converters. That is where Lucas TB Zinc Plus comes in. Regular oil has 600 to 800 parts per million of zinc. Classic cars need at least 1,400 parts per million of zinc, but this additive boosts it to more than 5,000 parts per million. Lucas TB Zinc Plus can be used for racing and for braking in new cars. However, if you use it on a new engine, you need to drain the oil after 1,000 miles. Of course, this is highly unnecessary, and only an experienced technician should try that. Lucas TB is a great motor oil additive for cars made before 1994. If your car is younger than that, we've got some other additives that might help. Number 11 is the CRC GDI intake valve and turbo cleaner. According to SAE, gasoline direct injection engines accumulate up to 40% more carbon than port-injected engines after 100,000 miles. That's why GDI engines are more prone to cold start misfires, rough idling, and reduced throttle response over time. The problem is so bad that mechanics now recommend intake valve cleaning as regular maintenance for GDI cars. One way to cut down on this $800 service is by using CRC GDI and intake valve and turbo cleaner. Because this additive is meant for GDI engines, it has a high concentration of PEA, and yes, it works. Lab tests with borescopes confirmed that valves caked in carbon became visibly cleaner and showed metal. The secret? Proper application. Unlike other additives, this isn't as simple as pouring it into your fuel tank or oil chamber before topping off. There are specific instructions to follow, but it is worth the extra time. You should also use this every 10,000 miles, because that's how fast carbon accumulates in GDI engines. Still, $17 every 10,000 miles instead of $800 every year is a steal. If your car has a more reasonable fuel injection system, the next additive will do the trick. Number 12, we have the Gum Out Fuel Injector Cleaner. Gum Out has an incredible lineup of additives, including octane boosters, fuel system cleaners, carburetor cleaners, and ethanol treatments. However, their fuel injector cleaner is one of the best in the market. It contains PE, and it cleans fuel injectors, valves, and ports in gasoline engines. What sets this apart from from other additives is that you can use it on newer cars without any adverse effects, as long as you follow the instructions, of course. Still, you will get the most value when you use it on an old engine or a relatively new car that has been poorly maintained. What makes this product really attractive is the price. A 6-ounce bottle costs only $5 and mixes with 21 gallons of gasoline. But if you don't want to limit yourself to just a fuel injector cleaner, buy Gumout all-in-one fuel system cleaner. Before we get to the additives that don't work, we've saved the best additive for last. And at number 13, we have the AT205 Reseal. If you've watched our video on how to make your car's suspension last forever, then you know how valuable this additive is. AT205 Reseal is the only additive that should be in everyone's garage, whether you have an old or a new car. AT205 Reseal is a plasticizer, and it stops leaks in rubber seals and gaskets. As seals get older, the rubber loses elasticity, becomes hard, and begins to crack. This product not only stops leaks, but also prolongs the life of your rubber components. AT205 Reseal works with different engines and can also be mixed in transmission, power steering, differential, and hydraulic systems. Plus, you can spray it externally on rubber components, like on your suspension system, to keep them supple. If you have a high-mileage car, you can't do without this. Well, you can, but you'll spend thousands of dollars fixing leaks. Now that we've covered 13 additives that work, let's look into 5 that don't. Starting off at number 1, off-the-shelf Octane boosters that promise 10+ point gains. If you drive a normal car, you have no business using Octane boosters. Only high-performance cars need a little extra octane. However, what they need is much more than you'll find in the cheap Octane boosters on the shelf. The ones promising 10+ point gains are scams, and here is how. 1 point is just 0.1 of an octane number, so 10 points only moves it from 91 to 92. Real octane boosters will get your car from 91 to 95, and that's where the power kicks in. A few points will only leave a dent in your wallet, and if it contains MMT, it will also leave orange manganese deposits on spark plugs and oxygen sensors. That can cost over $1,000 to repair. At number 2 is the Teflon-based oil additives. Polytetrafluoroethylene or Teflon-based oil additives sound like the perfect solution for engine friction. PTFE is the same thing used in non-stick pans, so it should minimize friction. Unfortunately, it does not work in reality. The most famous company to pass off this snake oil is Slick 50. They got slapped with a $10 million fine in 1997 for false advertising. The FTC found that there was no added protection or engine life improvement. NASA engineers found that PTFE accumulates in filters and oil passages, so using these additives will wreck your engine. Coming in at number 3 are the engine rebuilders. When a product promises to rebuild missing parts of your engine by infusing it with copper, silver, and lead, that's a red flag. Soft metals in an oil additive cannot repair hardened steel cylinders, yet many people fall for it. Engine rebuilders are simply thickening agents that may mask the symptoms for a while, but they ultimately cause more damage to your engine. At number 4, Ford Anti-Gel and Performance Improver. This is a diesel anti-gel additive, and yes, it actually works. However, it is one of the worst mainstream anti-gels. Project Farm did extensive tests on 11 popular brands, and Ford came in 10th. Hot Shots, Peak, and Amsoil took the top 3 slots. Howes, another popular option, also didn't perform very well. Finally, at number 5 is anything containing tetraethylene. Behold, the most dangerous additive ever invented. Tetraethylene, or TEL, is a compound containing lead, and it was meant to reduce knocking and boost octane in gasoline engines. While this additive does as promised, it also destroys catalytic converters. But what's worse is that TEL is a neurotoxicant that can damage your liver, kidneys, and brain. Fortunately, it has been banned for automotive use in most countries. However, it is still used in aviation. But if anyone offers you to put some in your car, call the cops. Those are 13 engine additives that can improve performance, reduce knocking, and extend engine life, especially in older cars. If you are looking for a way to prolong your engine's life without risking catastrophic failure or spending a lot of money, watch this video 13 habits to make your car last over 500,000 miles.